I'm surrounded by carp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's beautiful. Oh, there's that big one right there. Come on, girls. Look at the friggin' carp here. Big old goldfish right there, folks.
The Fishin' Canada Show, brought to you in part by Ram Trucks. Nothing works harder than a Ram. Stearns, trusted on the water since 1952. Mercury Outboards, #1 on the water. And Outdoor Canada, Canada's only national fishing and hunting magazine.
So we here at Fishin' Canada decided to do a show on carp fishing. It's not our first, and it's definitely not going to be our
Look at
last.
that tail. Look at the size of that tail.
Although Angelo and I wouldn't call ourselves experts, I do feel we are gaining valuable knowledge with every season that passes. The beauty of carp fishing is it opens up a whole new world to us, totally contrasting the bass, walleye, and pike that we're more used to.
Baby!
I remember talking to Angelo a long time ago, and he said he had seen some huge carp on the north side of the Duck Islands in eastern Lake Ontario when he was fishing a bass tournament some 20 plus years ago. He said it was loaded with fish. Sounds like a good place to check out since it should be untouched and is definitely unique.
Holy.
Carp are not so well known in Canada and certainly not as popular as other locations around the world, so they're very intriguing to me.
Look at that.
Plus, I want to learn as much as I can about them. You'll know our formula for success on the water is KLP, knowledge, location, and presentation. And you can't really know your quarry unless you read lots about them, watch them on the water, talk to the experts, and then fish them, like I'm going to do today. Having said all that, this is pre-spawn, so carp behavior will probably be somewhat erratic. We'll see. What I do know about them is that when they're in pre-spawn, they're moving around in shallow water and they're congregating.
Look at those carp. Talk about two giants.
I approached Main Duck Island from the west where there was a large shallow point. I figured if there was any concentration of fish there, I'd see them. By using polarized glasses, an angler can quickly scan and surmise whether the fish are there or not. And they were not. So it's a matter of moving, without fishing, and covering as much water as possible until I could see a concentration of fish. I saw some fish, but they seemed scattered, not enough to stop and set up. I kept scanning the shoreline and suddenly came across an area of somewhat murky water. Here I saw the biggest concentration of fish so far. I set the boat and began chumming the water with boiled corn. I always throw a small handful of feed somewhat close to the boat in case an aggressive hungry fish is around so I can see if the fish are actually feeding. Trust me, when they eat, you know it.
Boiled corn, some vanilla extract in it, some sugar in it, a couple of special ingredients that you can't tell everybody. I'm just lying to you. I one time put vanilla vodka in my corn, boiled it, and it worked great.
I made some casts, but nothing was happening. As I mentioned earlier, these are pre-spawn fish and they're just not eating the way they normally do. I was starting to worry about finding these fish. Since I was so far out in Lake Ontario, I didn't have a lot of choices. I decided to check out Sweatman Island, aka False Duck Island. And as soon as I got there, I started seeing fish.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom, there's that big one right there. Look at the friggin' carp here. I'm surrounded by carp. Not gonna be easy to fish them. That's a big carp right there, man.
I sat up on the shallow side of the point and looked for a clear, scum-free area on the bottom to chum. Lake Ontario is notorious for growing a dark green, slimy scumweed that makes it incredibly hard to present a bait. The hotter the weather, the thicker the scum. Luckily, I'm here in early summer, before the peak of the slimy takeover. I finally chose a fishing spot that had two ingredients: lots of fish in a very fishable area. Looking for visible shallow fish is a no-brainer, but getting them to come to and feed in a specific spot, that's not so easy. I chummed this little piece of carp real estate with boiled corn and then set up my hair rig with sweet corn, big scented kernels of corn, and pineapple scented boilies. My next step is to cast out and wait. Here's an interesting point. It's important to soak and boil your feed corn before chumming an area. Dry corn, once water-induced, can swell up to 4 times its original size. If carp ingest a pound of dry corn, which a big fish can do very easily, that now wet corn could swell up to 4 pounds and tear the fish's intestines. Pre-boiling your feed corn makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons.
Things are strong, man. Pretty much a beast right there.
Since Pete was using scented boilies for his carp episode today, here's a few reasons why scented baits are such a great idea. Freshwater fish like pike, bass, walleye, and carp have highly developed olfactory glands and are attracted to certain scents. That's why so many freshwater bait manufacturers, especially of plastic baits, build the scent right in. Otherwise, they're sold in containers as paste, fluids, and gels, and no matter how you put it on your bait, they work. For anglers, the most important thing about scenting bait is that it covers up the human scent. Any baits or rigs like today's hair rig that require a lot of handling to set up put your hookup rate at risk if your scent is not masked. Fish, with their acute sense of smell, will also turn off at the slightest scent of gas, suntan lotion, or any foreign chemical for that matter. The other side of the coin, of course, if they like it, they'll keep that bait in their mouth just a moment or two longer. That will increase your hookup rate for sure. Fishing is a serious business. Go see the pros at Sail and they'll set you up with whatever you need to make your bait smell delicious.
Got one. Finally got one. He's gone to New York. Nice. Tighten the drag down a little bit. That's so awesome. I've been this place and I've been sitting there watching these fish eating it. I'm sure they're feeding on my stuff. I was just getting ready to go crazy. I was just ready to do like light fluorocarbon leader and all that kind of stuff just to see, because look at how heavy duty this stuff is. But I thought, you know what? As I'm doing it, all of a sudden I hear the free spool spinning. So, with the longest rods in the world, and luckily the longest net in the world too. There he is. There, get that out of the net. Get that out of the way. I'll hold up this little fella. And I call this a little fella, even though this is probably to some people, the biggest fish they've ever caught in their life. In the world of carp, he's not that big, and in the world of Lake Ontario carp, he's really not big at all. But he's a pretty cool looking fish. Common carp, perfect scale patterns. And these guys are so hardy. He'll just swim away like nothing. It's not as easy as it looks. And it's taken me a while to dial it in. That's beautiful.
Hey, did you know that besides well-known game fish, Ontario has a variety of other species that offer great sport, including carp, catfish, freshwater drum, sturgeon, and even whitefish. If big, powerful, and wary fish are what you seek, you'll love carp. They're found in many shallow, weedy, muddy areas of the Great Lakes and southern inland waters. Savvy anglers fish for them with worms, corn, or dough balls that are set on or just above bottom on sinkers or float rigs. Many fly rodders are also finding great sport fishing for these skittish fish. Ontario's carp fishing is underutilized. New provincial records are out there. So go fish in Ontario today.
Got him. Got another one. They take off. They take off. Look at this. Oh. You want to tighten your drag, but you don't want to tighten too much because you can rip their lip. And they get up. I've been feeding this one specific little spot, trying to get into an area that's got no scum on it. And I kept rethrowing. I was spooking fish. I know it's not what you're supposed to do, but I couldn't understand how I couldn't get bit. And I'm feeding with hard, like boiled corn, and I'm throwing nice, soft, sweet corn. So, let's see what I can do here. There. There. That's pretty much a beast right there. Look at that thing. He's being very nice to me. It's a good-sized carp. That's not big for Lake O, I'll tell you that right now, but it's a big carp. So give anybody a good tussle. Look at this thing, massive. He's milking. See, these fish are spawning. That fish is milking. That's a male. This is the size of the males. Can you imagine the females? There you go. Things are strong, man. I'll tell you what, if your forearm right there doesn't get pumped with that, then you are a bodybuilder extreme. It just works you down.
You probably noticed all the squawking going on in the background. This island is loaded with birds. I mean a lot of birds. All I see are seagulls and lots of cormorants. What a racket they make, but that's nothing. The stench from the cormorant poop is unbelievable. It contains a lot of ammonia and is extremely acidic, which is devastating to vegetation. Each of these machines can and do eat their own weight of fish every day. And here's the kicker. They're protected by our government. Now, with all this negative, there certainly comes a positive. The seagull, a bird that is almost as much a malign creature as the dirty old cormy, has suddenly risen on my good animal list. These false Duck Island gulls are having a heyday. Cormorant eggs for an appetizer, and let's call it cormorant veal for the main course. Chow down, you little gluttons. You're doing us anglers a huge favor.
Oh, this one's pulling good. I just relocated around the point. Get out of the wind has died down. The fish have moved away. And I came along this deep break here. This fish didn't even bolt. This fish barely took off. I'm gonna just follow it up. I'll let the boat go where it wants to. So this might be the big female sitting off this deep break. There's another one right there. They're giants out here. Awesome. But that's cool. That fish is out there. Total moss bottom. As you can see, this bottom here is a little different. Over there I had clear patches, sand patches, which was really nice to work with. Here is all mossy and mucky. So what I did was I used pop-up boilies. There's something that'll get me up out of the moss, just that far up off the bottom. Look at the yellow in the front of that thing. Now it imitates corn. I think actually I have a giant kernel of corn on there too. So I got a pop-up boilie, pineapple flavor, and that thing is obviously sitting down the bottom of Lake Ontario and just glistening. It shows up like crazy. So look at that, perfect hookup too. Fish did not take off either. This guy did not head for the hills, so to speak. It's just the line barely moved out. I had to lift up and see if I could get him. I'm hoping that this is going to work for me. I don't have much time left in the day, but easy, girl. Scoop. Do that so easily. This is a total waiting game. Totally different than bass fishing out here in the main Duck Islands or here the false Duck Islands or any of these islands. It's like you're bass fishing, you're working back and forth and up and down. Pretty good fish. I said it wasn't that big, but I'll have to retract. It's a pretty good one. They're hard to get a hold of these beasts. Sometimes you can get a hold of that pectoral fin. Look at that. Short and fat for you. Boom. Well, I got a little bit of time left. If I can get one more, I'll be happy.
Today's hotspot is a rocky point extending from False Duck Island. The waypoint on your screen will get you there. Using a boat is the only way of accessing this waypoint. After that, it's your choice as to setting up on shore or in the boat. The active and feeding carp started the day in the extreme shallows, but eventually moved off into the deeper water adjacent to the point. Although you can get away with regular fishing gear here, a carp-specific rod and reel makes the whole experience more effective and authentic. Love them or not, carp are going to be here in Canada for a long time, so why not embrace this underutilized fishery? For more hotspots like this one, check out fishingcanada.com.
Fish. I swear to God, folks, that fish followed my cast. I cast to the fish. I've never done that before for carp. Ever. But he's been feeding around there, feeding around like crazy in one spot. And I watched it. It went over right towards my boilie dropping. I threw it out and brought it back. I kind of penduled it back into the zone where he was eating, and, and he came for it and ate it. That is so cool. I've never seen it. It's like a bass. Maybe not as fast as a smallmouth, but or as crazy a strike as a muskie, but look at that. Yeah, beautiful.
All of a sudden, I'm presented with a whole new range of possibilities for carp fishing. Another little bit of info to be stowed away in the knowledge department, along with a lot of info for the location department. The reality of this little fishing expedition is that all these carp are in the pre-spawn stage and as such, ready to rock each other's world, yet completely unpredictable to me.
Awesome! Big old goldfish right there, folks. There's so many of them in this lake, so many that size around me right now that it's ridiculous. He wants to go. Easy, buddy, easy. This is a pretty good floor for this too. It's a rubber floor, so you take care of your fish, laying them down. I got the net and a rubber floor, so he's not doing too bad. Yes, this is fun.
This was actually a very interesting fishing trip. I learned a lot about carp behavior, the importance of location, the criticality of bait presentation, and that cormorant poop really stinks.
Puh! Woo! Ammonia in the poo-poo.
To get to today's great carp fishing, I first took Highway 401 to Highway 41 at Napanee and headed south. Next, I turned east on Highway 2 and then south on Road 7 at Storms Corners. I finally turned southwest on Loyalist Parkway, traveled through the town of Bath to a boat launch on the shores of Lake Ontario. A word of warning, this boat launch can be unsafe with strong incoming winds.
For today's KLP, I definitely have to go with the L location. You have to have the carp around you before you can catch them. Yeah, you need knowledge and you need presentation, but they gotta be here. I started out today on the Duck Islands, had some fish around, but I couldn't catch them, so I thought I better move. I looked at Wapoose Island, saw nothing. Went to Timber Island, I saw nothing. I finally ended up at False Duck Islands, and lo and behold, there is a ton of fish around. Now, I got them located, I just have to catch them.
The Fishin' Canada Show, brought to you in part by Sail, the Outdoors Superstore. Coleman, the Outdoor Company. Muscal, proudly Canadian since 1951. Cooper Tires, life's a road trip. Come on, let's go. And Princecraft Boats, dominate the waters.